Chew for the poo.
Chew.
This is legit right
It's her
here.
tagline.
Chew for the poo. Unicorn poop and chew for the poo.
That
Don't
is her
steal
tagline.
those. These are mine.
Welcome to the Clear Skin Chronicles, the podcast that takes you on a journey to uncover the secrets of achieving glowing, acne-free skin. We believe that knowledge is power, and by understanding the root causes of acne, we can create a solid foundation for long-lasting clear skin. I'm Katie Stewart, registered holistic nutritionist and founder of the Clear Skin Solution, where we help women just like you get to the root cause of their acne.
And I'm Chris Brown, registered holistic nutritionist and program director inside the Clear Skin Solution. Through functional testing, we pinpoint where the body system imbalances lie, so we can dive deep into the acne clearing journey.
We work virtually with clients to clear up their skin from the inside out and have helped thousands of women worldwide regain their confidence. You know what our number one most popular topic across every platform, every audience, whether it's Instagram, it's Facebook, it's our email list, no matter what we talk about, Chris, what is the number one most engaged topic?
My favorite topic, poop.
I actually think this is amazing. And I think the reason why, Chris, it's such a popular topic is because it's not something that's widely talked about, but something people. Wait,
to who? Who doesn't widely talk about this?
You and I talk about it. We talk about it at the dinner table. Like, we talk about it
everywhere,
pretty much
daily,
all day long. But for the majority of the population, like, it's not really a water cooler conversation. You're not at a cocktail party and asking about your bowel movements. Like, this just isn't something that most people, I should say, outside of us, do. And I think it's such a popular topic because people don't know a lot about it, but it's something that massively impacts them. And maybe they've been too embarrassed to ask, or maybe they just didn't know, because I didn't know what a healthy bowel movement looked like until I became a nutritionist in my early to mid 20s. And we have so many clients, Chris, that get to their 40s and 50s also not knowing what a healthy bowel movement looks like. So this is why I was so excited when Paige recommended we do this podcast last week. We were like, oh my gosh, of course we need to do that. It's our favorite topic. And I also thought this would be kind of fun is, I don't want to say let's play like a drinking game, but let's play like a fun game. A gold star game. Like, because here's where I'm going with this. Anytime Chris says unicorn poop, you get a gold star. Right? Because there's so many drinking games. They're like, anytime someone says this, take a shot. Well, we would all be inebriated within 13 minutes of the podcast. So everybody, we're going to play a game. How many times does Chris say unicorn poop? And everyone gets a gold star for every time she says it.
It's a big deal. I love it.
She even found a unicorn poop graphic that she utilizes.
It's a must.
It is a must.
Here's the thing. I get excited about this topic. Right?
We could talk about this for like 5 hours, I feel.
We can, but we're going to pare it down. We're going to give quality information. We're going to, give some contributors. We're going to do all of that. Essentially, we need to understand and we need to share with everybody. I mean, this should be taught in kindergarten. We need to share with everybody the scandalous 50 Shades of Poo.
That's what she wanted to call this podcast episode, by the way, 50 Shades of Poo.
I don't understand why it can't. This is a free exercises. I mean, it's not glamorous. It's not glamorous. You get off the toilet, you look down. You should be getting off the toilet, looking down and congratulating yourself for a job well done.
Absolutely. You should always be looking at your bowel movements because there's two windows into the body, your skin and your bowel movements. These are two windows that tell you if something is amiss or going wrong inside the body. And what's really interesting is poop has a direct correlation to your skin. And I know this seems so disconnected. You're like, whoa. You're telling me that what's going on in the toilet is contributing to my acne. 100% yes. And here's why, Chris. Let's break down how I'll do constipation and then how about you do diarrhea? Deal?
Sure. I can't say I'll be quiet. I'm excited.
Well, no. I know.
excited.
Like, look at her face. If you're on YouTube, you can see like this is just brightened up her day. She's going to have an awesome day. So constipation and diarrhea, obviously the two kind of opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to bowel movements.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at constipation, obviously constipation is where we're having difficulties going to the bathroom. And, you know, we have some clients that come in that only go to the only poop every 3 weeks, only poop once a month. They poop every 10 days. And if you are not having a healthy bowel movement at least once a day, we are struggling with constipation. And you can even be having bowel movements every day, but if you're straining, they're coming out in pellets, this is also a sign of constipation. So we'll get more into what a healthy poop looks like, but let's go into how constipation and diarrhea are linked to acne. Mm-hmm. So constipation. If we are not moving our stool out of our body, remember your colon is part of your detoxification system. And your body is using your poop to excrete toxins, excess estrogens, garbage, all of these things that it doesn't want and need in the body, it excretes it out. Now, if your stool is sitting in that digestive tract too long, those toxins and excess hormones and all of that waste starts to reabsorb back into the body, goes back into that bloodstream, heads back to the liver. And in this process, what's happening is you're now seeing an increase in inflammation in the body, which will be systemic. You're going to be seeing an increase in toxicity in the body because your body's like, hey, whoa. I already got rid of this stuff. What's it doing back in here? And when it heads back to the liver, your body's already trying to catch up on the other things it's supposed to be filtering out. But now it's got this backlog because it's having to refilter things it's already tried to get out. So we're going to be really creating a sluggish liver, which is going to be slowing down the body. And we know that the liver has over how many functions, Chris? I know this is your favorite.
Well, research shows over 600 maybe. Not 5, like publicized.
Functions in the body. Your liver is a busy organ. So if it's getting sluggish, it's going to be impacting all the other areas of your body. And guess what? If your body's main detoxification organ is your liver and it's struggling, it's going to call in your body's largest organ of detoxification, and that is your skin. So it's going to be starting to excrete things out of your pores, which are going to be inflaming it and going to be leading to breakouts. And then that final way is if your body's trying to get rid of all this excess estrogen through your stool, and it's headed back again to the liver, we're again going to be seeing hormonal imbalances rise in the body because we're not able to excrete that estrogen. So maybe we're going to be seeing things like an estrogen dominance pop up, which of course is going to have a link to acne, which maybe also painful periods, maybe also heavy flows. Like there's so much that happens from this domino effect from having constipation in the body. Any additions there, Chris?
I'm like so excited.
I know. Awesome. I saved you a few.
Right? The thing with constipation and the schematic of what you were just saying, Katie, is that at the end of the day, whether it's constipation or diarrhea, it's still a sign in the body. It's not the most glamorous job.
But it's a big job. It's
a big job. If we're not having bowel movements, not only the longer that that fecal matter sits in that colon, in that cavity, the longer that we're going to create that inflammation. Ideally, food in and food out. So 3 meals a day, 3 bowels a day. That is essentially what we want to look in the size, the color, all of these things. So absolutely, it's that inflammatory trigger. It's that stress that's creating that inflammation on those systems. And you went through on that cycle. So that's great. So diarrhea, constipation, kind of the same in our world, right? One thing I did want to ask, if you're a slow oxidizer, meaning it's hard to get the junk out, you're trying all the things, you're doing all the things, maybe animal protein or heavier fat meals, they just feel sluggish in your body. Maybe you don't know if you're a slow oxidizer, but those are kind of, some key concepts, or constipation in the sense of you just can't get it out. Really, where we can look at contributors later on, the fact is you have to know how to eat, kind of like we're nutritionists or something, but we have to know how to eat to support these bowel movements, right? And you're never taught that.
I know. It's so wild to me when we look back that we're never taught about these really important parts of our body and how we can be supporting them. Like, and the fact that we have, 20, 30, 40, 50-year-old women coming in and honestly not knowing what a healthy bowel movement is, and not for any fault of their own, because they've never been taught. And, they've thought that the bowel movements they have are normal. Like we hear that all the time. Is I just thought going to the bathroom every 3 weeks was normal. Like I thought that's what was supposed to happen. And then if on the other end of the spectrum, if we're dealing with diarrhea, where the stool is just moving way too quickly through your body, a number of things can be popping up. The first is going to be massive gut inflammation. Your gut is going to be so inflamed. And when we're dealing with that inflamed gut, that's actually going to be disrupting the balance of that good and bad bacteria in your gut, leading to what we call dysbiosis, which further increases systemic inflammation, which is body-wide inflammation, which could be manifesting as acne. And another one, Chris, is that nutrient malabsorption. If your stool is moving too quickly through the body, we're not going to be able to absorb those really essential nutrients, whether it's our zinc, our vitamin A, D, E, like K, all of these things that are so crucial for skin health. We're going to be seeing deficiencies in these nutrients that are going to be making us more prone to acne. It's also going to be deficient in nutrients that helps with hormone production, right? Like your body uses these essential vitamins and minerals it gets from food to run other areas of the body. So if the organs are getting the nutrients it needs, they're going to suffer, and also your skin is going to suffer.
Mm-hmm. And we can see even bacterial growth on the skin, right? From the inconsistencies. So really, when we talk diarrhea and we talk constipation, we're still looking at the malabsorption. Mm-hmm. We're not going to be able to, we call it like chelate out or absorb, because there's congestion, whether slow or fast. Diarrhea, you're going to be flushing it through your body. Food intolerances, big deal.
Yeah, let's talk about the reasons why we see constipation and diarrhea. Like, why does it happen in the first place?
No one's going to love us. Lifestyle. There, summarized, done.
Food, lifestyle, medications, basically the world we live in, right? Because when we're looking at the reasons for poor bowel movements, a really big one is, what are you putting in your mouth? Like, what are you eating in a day? Are you getting enough fiber, right? Also, if you're eating a very standard North American diet, refined carbohydrates, refined sugars, processed vegetable oils, this is going to be really impairing your digestive function. Medications and alcohol, all of these things that we're consuming, it's going to be impacting our gut. So we're going to be seeing things like low stomach acid, also known as hypochlorhydria, where we don't have enough stomach acid in order to properly break down our food. Yeah. We don't have strong enough digestive function, so the enzymes are lacking in our digestive tract. All of the refined carbohydrates and crappy food that we're eating is leading to a dysbiosis in our gut. So whether it's, say, something like a candida overgrowth, which is a yeast that naturally lives on and in the body, we have a podcast episode on it. So go back to season 1, I think it's in. We did one on candida. Also SIBO, like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, that's going to be afoot as well. We have a podcast on SIBO, but I also recommend going back and listening or watching to our episode with Dr. William Davis from earlier this season, where we talked about the gut-skin axis, because we really dug into SIBO as well. So all of these things are going to be creating this perfect storm for constipation and diarrhea to arise.
The big ones I see in the Clear Skin Solution is dehydration. So people are coming in, not ample amount of water or clean water. That is a big deal.
Clean water. I think that's probably one of the first things you can start with on your health journey is clean water.
Please, clean water, right? Mm-hmm. So quick rule is every 8 ounces, right? Mm-hmm. 8 ounces. Well, every 8 ounces if we're drinking coffee or caffeinated beverage. So what I mean is people use caffeine for stimulation, like you said. Mm-hmm. And that's really what we should not be reliant on.
No, we shouldn't be reliant on coffee for.
So what I mean by dehydration is one level up. If we are drinking a caffeinated beverage, whether it's the matcha or the coffee or those friggin' energy drinks, please. So these things here is, you want to look at your coffee cup, your whatever cup, and you drink your coffee. You then technically need to fill that up twice with water to be at ground zero again for hydration. Mm-hmm. Ground zero. You're thinking, look at me, I'm stellar, I'm getting, no. So if we're getting, dry lips, dry skin, if we're getting flaking around the acne, even acne alone, constipation, this is something I want to look at, because if dehydration at this point is going to be masked through the stimulation of the diuretic, like the caffeine, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, we can even break constipation diarrhea apart for factors that leading to it. Like obviously constipation, low fiber intake, that standard North American diet, dehydration, high conventional dairy consumption. We see that a lot with our clients that come in like, ones that are eating dairy and cheese for every single meal, that can sometimes lead to constipation. Even a lack of physical activity, right? Being sedentary, because regular exercise and movement really helps to stimulate your intestinal function. What about this one? This is one that's not talked about, is ignoring the urge, right? Is when you feel like you have to go, but you're like, no, I have things to do.
I can't go at work. I can't go at work.
I can't go at work. I can't go when I'm here. I can't go when I'm there.
No, you need to go deposit that. Think of it. Think about, if I just give you $1,000, you're going to carry it around? No, you're going to go to the bank. Okay? So now that toilet bowl is the bank.
And that poop is $1,000.
It wants your poop. That's why it was designed.
That's why it was designed.
There's no other role other than vomit, fecal matter, and urine.
It's pride and joy right there.
And you think you have a bad job. I mean, I'm not coming back as a toilet bowl. I'm just letting you know.
No. Of course, medications. So, you can be looking at, if you are taking different types of medications, they can be leading to constipation as well. And of course, different medical conditions. But when we're looking at diarrhea, again, on the flip side, food intolerances, right, Chris? Like we see food intolerances a lot with our clients. And it's important to remember that food intolerances are a symptom. Mm-hmm. They're not a diagnosis. They're not a reason you have acne. They're not a reason you have stomach pain. They're all the things. It's a food intolerance is another symptom of poor gut health. So whether it's, those more common ones like a lactose, gluten intolerance, but you can have an intolerance and sensitivity to pretty much any food, even healthy ones, if you're dealing with poor gut health.
But they're tricky.
They are tricky. Yeah, they are tricky.
They are tricky, right? And that's why we tend to want those food intolerance, those IgG tests. Mm-hmm. Here's something really creative. One of our suppliers had this big blowout of, we call it like a sale, like a red light special, right? With the IgG test. You got one, I got one. It was awesome. You know what we do? When we get a lot, like a massive volume of that, we get to see trend.
I love looking at the trends in the IgGs
for
the
that is
clients.
Like talking like poop to me, right?
I know.
Like, bring it on. So here's the thing with the food intolerances. 99% of all of those, including mine, Katie, with my autoimmune, no acne, but my autoimmune, casein.
Casein, yeah.
Cow's milk, dairy, to sheep, to even though goats are smaller, mm-hmm. and we should be able to tolerate, it doesn't mean it's forever in all of them. There's going to be certain levels and numbers. So what I'm saying here is why they're tricky is because we tend to, and clients say this all the time, but I love cheese. I can give up everything else, but it's the cheese, right?
Oh, I feel you. I was like a hardcore cheese addict. I loved cheese. I ate it on everything.
Because it gives that opioid almost effect, mm-hmm. that I just did a job. Oh, look at me. Oh, yeah, ha. Yeah, then go have sex because it gives the same thing. I told a client, you know what? Every time you want, she goes, what did you just say? And I said, she goes, so what I'm supposed to say is every time I want cheese is I'm supposed to have sex. And I said, yeah, you're going to be so happy.
That's going to be one happy spouse you got right there.
So that's this. So when they are tricky, but that's the one people want to hang on to the most is the cheese.
Yeah, and that's interesting is the casein. So casein is one of the proteins in dairy. You have whey and casein. So you can have intolerance, of course, to the lactose, but you can also have intolerances to the casein and the whey of the proteins. Then infections, like we're looking at different types of past infections. So those stomach bugs, right? The gastroenteritis, the rotavirus, the norovirus, these can actually all impact your gut's microbiome. So if you are somebody that's had a food poisoning or you've had a gastroenteritis, this can alter your gut's microbiome. And if it's not repaired and rebalanced, it can be leading to different gut issues and inevitably also contributing to acne. So we also have to be looking at those like bacterial infections in the gut, parasitic infections. Like we see quite often different, bacterial imbalances in the gut
worms,
for our clients.
Parasites, anything, right?
Yeah, you travel a lot, that kind of thing.
So one thing is, and again, that's going by trend. If you've ever had the pleasure of having a bum photo shoot for a colonoscopy, there is likely an itis happening. So itis is some kind of inflammatory issue in the lower gastrointestinal, the colon, these types of things that your doctor is looking. So it doesn't mean you have to have that autoimmune, the Crohn's, the colitis, these types of things. This is what they do. You've had enough disruption. You've had raging diarrhea, you have constipation. Oh my gosh, you have IBS. You know what IBS stands for? I don't know. You're gonna get an IBS constipation. I don't know, but you're hanging with constipation or an IBSD. You have raging diarrhea. So it's an I don't know
symptoms. Yeah, those are you're like IBS is really just it's a set of symptoms. It's not a diagnosis because what's causing the IBS? What's causing the IBD? We have to be looking deeper at what's leading to these symptoms because we have lots of clients that come in with IBD and IBS that get massive relief from their symptoms and no longer have that classic IBS set of symptoms when they look to repair that gut health.
Yeah, exactly. These are all the things, and I mean, we're just not isolating here, right?
Oh, I have one more. I have one more to add, but we forgot.
Rock it out. Let's do it.
Stress and anxiety. What about that psychological factor? People that have high stress, high anxiety, this can lead to both constipation and diarrhea.
Yeah, mental health. So if someone is noticing even their behaviors out of the ordinary, right? What about constipation, diarrhea around the menses cycle? Still hormonal. It's still the contributing factor of how we're able to methylate, metabolize. These are cofactors in the body that we need to detoxify these things. So stress and anxiety, serotonin and dopamine, those neurotransmitters in the gut, they get affected.
And it's also, you often hear people saying, when I'm traveling, I can't poop. If I'm, traveling on an airplane, I'm staying at a hotel. And you have to remember, travel is a stressor. Like when you're going to that airport and like you're being herded like sheep, and it's all these things. Maybe you got like your 4 kids in tow, and you're carrying on the luggage, and your plane's delayed, and you got like all of this is a stressor on the body, which you have to remember that our bodies are designed that when it has a stress, whether it's running from a saber-toothed tiger or traveling through an airport with your 3 children, the body doesn't differentiate between these stressors, and it shuts down the digestive function to divert all of the energy to your limbs to be able to run to safety. It doesn't know that you want to run to safety away from your children, but
are you living in my head?
Can you tell that Chris and I are moms? We love them.
Or even traveling with a stranger or work demands.
Work demands, yep.
Bowel movements, they're taboo, right? You're not going to go and be like coming out of the bathroom as you're bunked up with, a coworker being like, did you see the unicorn poop in the toilet? No, come.
Unless you work for us. Unless you work with us.
Often I hear, Tegan, my youngest, said last week, Mom. Yes, Teags. I'm thinking something's dying upstairs, right?
She's broken a limb.
Mom, yes. And I run upstairs and she goes, look at this. You have to see, Mom, that is a number 4. That is a unicorn poop. Look at this. She was so proud of herself.
I teach my kids the same.
She's 12. Why are we still talking about unicorn? Why do I have to come examine it? Because we've cultured it that it's good.
Yep. I've taught it to my boys since they were little, the importance of they have to look to make sure their bowel movements, because we can see how your tummy feels. So yeah, Jackson's the same. He knows to be looking in the toilet and being like, oh, this is looking good. We got a unicorn poop. So let's break it down for people.
Sure.
What does a healthy poop look like? Because if you've gone your whole life, you're like, I actually don't know what a healthy poop looks like.
Well, inside the Clear Skin Solution, we use the Bristol Stool chart.
Love a good Bristol Stool chart. And you want to know what, everyone? We put together a download for you, like literally the poop acne download that goes through the Bristol Stool chart, healthy poops, colors, foods. We kind of summarize this podcast for you so that way you had a handy reference guide.
I just want to quickly run down those types and why they are key. If you have a type 1 and you've had a type 1 forever, you've normalized it. This is a bowel for you that is normal.
But let's explain what the Bristol Stool chart is. The Bristol Stool chart is, a number of bowel movements, and it shows different pictures. Yeah. Sorry. There's seven poops types. On it, 7 types of poop. And you'll see if number 1 is the most severe constipation, and number 7 is the most severe diarrhea. So just water. So you can go and physically look at this Bristol stool chart to see where you fall. And we ideally want to be a number 4. That's an ideal.
I'll take a 3. Past 3 or 4.
I'll take a 3.
Yes.
But
right?
4 is like a beautiful unicorn poop. And when you're looking at that stool chart, a healthy poop is one long, smooth, snake-like movement, minimal cracking. It's not coming out in chunks and pellets. It's just one smooth, long snake. And there's no straining. You shouldn't be having to sit in the bathroom for 20 minutes unless you're one of our husbands and probably just checking sports scores on their phone away from the children. So you shouldn't be straining, you shouldn't be having to sit in there for a long time. The bowel movement should be able to come out within like 30 to 60 seconds.
Is that a thing?
Yeah. Like you shouldn't be sitting on the toilet for like 10 minutes waiting for it to come out.
Well, I know, but I would never thought about it as a 30-60, and I talk about it all the time.
Because let's even give them 30-90.
Fine, look at that, right? I didn't know that was a thing. So that's what I'm saying. So I do want to quickly go into the types, because number 1 is that appearance, that hard lumps, right? I call them rabbit poops.
Rabbit poops. They look like pellets.
They do. They're just little pellets. Number 2 is we're starting to get a little bit more of the log. Essentially, it's all the pellets from number 1, and they met at a party, and now they have friends.
Yeah. Right?
It's coming out more like, I don't know if I want to say like a Hershey chocolate bar. I don't eat conventional.
No, but it looks like an O. Henry.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what you're going after.
Yeah. Number 3, this is where we start to get into the sexy. It's okay. It's a log shape. We're going to have maybe some cracks on the surface and the edges, right? But it's soft and easy to pass. Like we're starting to look down. We're starting to see multicolored, not really multicolored, but like a little horn, like a unicorn. By 4, we have the horn. We have the multicolored poops. In essence, just by reference, they have the eyes, this unicorn's, saying hello, thank you, job well done, right? We consider this the normal. 5, not so bad, but you know what? Now our 4 is starting to maybe piece out, crack a little bit. We might see, this is where we can start to see maybe more undigested foods. So chew your food, people. It is a thing. 6, I call it the fluffy and the mushy. So the fluffy and the mushy, yeah. The ragged edges. So too soft.
Yeah, you don't want a fluffy, mushy poop.
Yes. Now, people here start to panic and they pull off their water. This is technically where I say maybe look at more water. So sometimes it can be opposite, right? With that 6, yeah, we don't, yeah. And then 7, this is just what I typically call raging diarrhea. This is an urgency. This is
see a medical practitioner if this is like, if it's a one-off, but if you're having like watery diarrhea, like explosive, this is we need to talk.
You have to, like, this is not, and it's not one-offs, right?
It's not a one-off. Yeah. But it's like, if this is every bowel movement, it's been a few days, weeks, you like maybe you only have diarrhea as your bowel movement. Like this is a big thing that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, I'd say after 72 hours, like you have to keep your water up too, because you're losing a ton of water. But after 72 hours, you might want to go, this could possibly be more than.
Like outside of a flu or something, right? Like outside of a sickness.
Yeah. So the other thing is, unless there's more you want to add on that, but the other thing is I always love to say size matters.
Yep, size does matter.
Right? So the lack of density can come from an increase of gas.
Like if we're, because there can be anywhere from like the pencil thin stools all the way up to like a beefy, nice one to pass.
Yeah. This is an indication maybe malabsorption, right? I call it like the true floating turd. That's the one. So if you have to name something for the poop, just till you get comfortable with it, call it the unicorn. You're striving for a unicorn poop, right? We're doing these different things. However, the nutrients in the small intestine, they don't need to struggle for absorption. You have enough issues going on. Your macronutrients, so your proteins, your carbohydrates and fats, your vitamins, those minerals, they need to be sucked out here. If we're not having those inspirational bowel movements, we can bet that we're also going to not have nutrient absorption. So assimilation is going to be affected. This is a big problem. This is why we're so like digestion, right? So I'm going to tell you what the ideal size is, since you told us the ideal the minutes of a poop. For size, it could go from a couple inches, so 2 to 3 inches is the ideal length. At least in
in diameter. You're talking diameter. It should be about 4 to 8 inches long.
Well, listen,
you're getting it backwards.
You should not be holding that much crap in your system if you're going regularly.
No, listen, you're saying that you're getting it backwards. 1 to 2 inches long would be this long of a poop.
Is okay. It's fine.
That's 4 inches. You're getting it backwards. This is
2 to 3 inches is okay. It is okay.
Get a ruler out. You're getting it backwards.
I know 2 to 3 inches. I do. I'm just saying you. Yeah, 4 to 6. 6 inches is half a foot. If you're storing that much crap, I need to know if you're pooping regular. Now, if you're having one, it could come out like that. Mm-hmm. But I'm talking if it's like the 3 times and they're coming out, like don't panic.
Yeah, like the 3, 4, 5 inches. And it can be anywhere from like 1 to 2 inches in diameter. Yeah.
And we tend to see a little bit more in length if we're having one is my concept. Yeah. Okay, if we're having multiples, 2 to 3 inches. Now remember, your body still needs 18 to 24 hours for the proper digestion, right? Mm-hmm. So these types of things. We know that high fiber, we need to definitely get not just hemicellulose, that breaks down, but the cellulose for that fiber, for that bulk matter. Mm-hmm. And these are the things. So that's why using the Bristol with the size, with color, is really that multifaceted.
Yeah, so we can talk color and we can also talk poop that sinks or floats, because we often have clients asking, what does it mean if my poop is floating?
Which is interesting because I read something recently and this person has a mass amount of followers. And I was listening to the concept and I was like, I'm not sure I'm there yet. Maybe it's revolutionary, but I'm not sure I'm there yet. So, okay. So color.
What you were, you didn't share anything.
Oh, you want me to share it now? Okay.
Well, we were talking about should poop, like ideally your poop should be sinking because it's denser than the water, should be sinking. We will generally see for our clients that if they're having higher gas in their digestive tract, that can generally float. And we'll also see that if you have like oil spots in the toilet, it could be a fat malabsorption.
Right. And so what happens is this specific concept was if you eat too many fats, this is what's going to happen. Your poop is naturally going to sink, and this is bad. This is bad. It was very plant-based, right? If you do eat a ton of cellulose, it can float. So we do have to look at it, right?
Yep, that's true.
But the concept was if you eat a ton of fats and the person took peanut butter and put it in water,
right,
and it went down and it went straight to the bottom, and they were like, see how bad that is? And I was just like, okay, well, essentially fats also rise from things. Oils rise on top of water, or you've seen your oil on a puddle, or you know what I mean? So that's not necessarily the concept. The fact is it was a great visual, but that clump of peanut butter, nobody questioned the weight of the peanut butter. Interesting, right? So that's where my head goes. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that concept. And I was like, and I was teaching it one day and I said, and I used it and I did it online. And I was like, now, what are some objections? What are some opportunities we can see and we can miss? And nobody brought it up, but I was like, but what about the density, the weight, the circumference, the fact of the water, what type of water it is? This is what I want people to start to do instead of just listening 110% to going, oh my gosh.
It's easy to do that on social media when you're flipping through reel after reel after reel. And there's a lot of like hooky, like a lot of these things where they just want your attention. They want eyeballs on the content. So being able to, ask those questions objectively, right? It's not like you're being defiant, but asking those questions like, oh, well, what about this? This is how you can really start to develop that understanding of the concept.
Yeah. And we always talk about variety and moderation. So we shouldn't be having too much of anything to make that poop not a unicorn-like, right?
Well, let's talk color.
All right, let's talk about these 50 shades of poo. I love it. Okay. So dark brown to light brown, I'm digging, right? So what's not happening when our poo's not brown? I was made to talk about poo because of my last name, I'm thinking.
Chris Brown.
Chris Brown.
Chris Brown.
I'm the ideal shade of poo color.
Here she goes. Here she goes, everybody.
So what happens when we're constantly having whitish, grayish, dark green? What's going on, right? I guess that's what we're getting into.
Yep.
Okay, so green poop. Love this. Green poop can also be caused by a bile that the poop has removed quickly through the gut, and the friendly bacteria haven't been able to break down that bile, the pigment. And I'm not talking.
Hold, slow it down. Slow it down. You're going in teaching mode.
Oh, because it's so exciting.
I know.
Okay.
But when she gets excited, she speeds up, and people are like, "Whoa, back it up! Whoa." The green poop can be a sign of a possible gallbladder issue, right? When it comes to
not.
Oh, you're going.
I'm going a little bit differently.
She's going differently. Okay, I'll let her go this tangent. I'll let her go.
It can be it's the breaking down of the bile pigment is what it is. It's not so much the pigment itself. So I'll get into that. So we want to go a little bit more to that yellowish, right?
Okay. She's going a different route, everybody.
Right. I'm kind of going a little bit more into this lack of stomach acid with green.
Oh, I see where you're going.
So what we fail to understand as a society is we need to stimulate that bile acid in order to create. So dandelion is used to, dandelion roots used to stimulate the liver, but it actually stimulates the gallbladder too, right? So it's part of that digestive. However, if we have repetitive green poos, one, are you drinking green smoothies all the time? This can be because it's high chlorophyll. Are you not chewing?
The first thing that you have to consider is what have I eaten in the last, say, 24 hours in an ideal poop. Is if it's green, you're like, yeah, did I have chlorophyll in all these really deeply pigmented things that are green? Because often, so many times my mom's called like, Frankie had red poop today, right? He had red poop. I'm like, he had beet juice yesterday. So of course his poop's going to be red.
And that's a good turnaround time. So way to go, Frankie, right? So that's the thing is, one, when it's green, are we eating a lot of green foods? Do we perhaps, if it's repetitive and we know we're chewing our food to a paste-like consistency, because that's the key in order to break down, to get that stomach acid going so it's not so stressed out, then after 3, 4, 5 days, and you've invested in chewing, and you're not seeing any food particles inside your bowel movements in the toilet bowl, then I want you to start looking, do I have sufficient hydrochloric acid? Right?
Stomach acid, everybody.
Stomach acid. Yeah. So then we can go into that clayish or the whitish, because often mistaken, quite often with very light brown, by the way. So that whitish gray color poop, again, that could be the bile duct obstruction. So back to digestion. So when using digestive enzymes, it would say bile salts. We might want to get in there, clear, like clay-like. Can you break it down? We can also experience, you've heard of this thing called acne, right? But we can experience around the temples, the hairline, yellowish, greenish eye discharge even. So we call that goop. There is an actual name for it. When we have yellow poop, greasy, foul, smelly, it's usually caused by the excess fat in the stool, like you were talking, right? Sometimes it can be accompanied by mucus. Not all fats are likely being absorbed. So difference between white and clay, and then the bile with regards to the actual yellow is the fat malabsorption, not being able to break it down, where the bile obstruction or the quality for the yellow. So we can see essential fatty acids that might be a deficiency. We're going to see increased inflammation. With yellow, interesting enough, imbalances in, say, boron and manganese. Pretty neat.
Here she goes into the minerals.
That is it. Red poop, unless you're Frankie and you've been eating your beets because he's a good boy. But any red food, even sometimes I've seen it where people have red wine. And they have like just this underlying hue. For women, if you're on your menses, please don't panic. It could be part and parcel. This is why we never even do a stool analysis on. But actual blood, First, I want you, before you panic and think you're dying, hemorrhoids.
Yeah. You're gonna WebMD it, and it's gonna be like, you're dying, go to the nearest ER.
Now, rush, go.
Rush. Is it hemorrhoids? Because if it's bright red, that's a sign that the bleeding is coming from lower in your digestive tract or in the rectum. So it could be something like hemorrhoids.
Yeah, and your menses. So let's isolate before we have this mad panic. Now, black. Unless you're a baby and you have your very first stool and you've got that hard, nasty little black poop that comes out, which is supposed to, medicine. So things like Pepto-Bismol, bismuth, this can turn your stool black. We really want to look at the quality. Iron supplementation, also nailing it right in here, can start to turn the bowels black. So if it's soft or liquidy, runny, sticky, this could be old blood present in the stool. You know, this is stuff we have to look at. Black or red over a period of time when you've isolated that you don't have cofactors. Yeah, we're going to the doctor.
Right, because black can be a sign that the bleeding is coming from higher up in the digestive tract because it's an old blood. So like Chris said, if you've isolated, you know it's not from the food or the medications. Even something like an iron supplement can turn your stool a darker color. You've isolated, this is when you want to go and see your medical practitioner and say, hey, I'm having these colored stools. So that way they can do a little bit more investigative work.
Especially, I don't love to throw these out, but yeah, like, you know, we don't want to take ulcers off the table at this point because you're talking about that high level blood, right? And it's probably presented with things like acid reflux, GERD, indigestion, bloating. It's
gastritis, like where your stomach hurts basically every time you eat.
Yeah, it's not isolated. It won't be alone. By the time it gets to those colors, your symptoms aren't alone.
Yeah. What other colors? Did we make it through all the colors?
Yeah, that's good.
You made it through? Okay, Chris made her way through all the colors.
If you have other colors, then you truly have a unicorn. And
pink, purple.
Send me a picture.
Green, send
me a picture.
Nothing is TMI here at the Clear Skin Solution. So we've looked at the healthy poop. And one thing we forgot to mention is smell. Like, you shouldn't be having horrendously smelling bowel movements where you clear the floor. Every window has to open. Of course, naturally, stool is going to have a smell, but it shouldn't be like a knock you off your socks smell.
Yeah. And I'll say certain things like asparagus. Asparagus does have a smell, usually like in the urine.
Yes.
Right?
Of course.
And vanilla in your bowels, those are two big ones.
Vanilla in the bowels. I learned something new today.
And the other thing is, if you can smell chicken in your bowel movement, again, I want you to kind of think, do I have enough stomach acid? Could that be a little bit of that putrefaction? And people are like, Chris, how do you smell chicken in your bowels? You can. When you start to learn and smell, do the aroma test, you know, whatever. Please turn your fan on for the other people. But when you start to know that you can smell your poop, you can look at your poop. When you're going for that unicorn poop, people all the time tell us, the clients all the time will reference, Chris, I had unicorn poop.
All the time.
And today I haven't, and I want it back.
I know. I love when we do the coaches meetings because we have a very large team here. Like, we have a team of over 20 people, which you would never know from the outside. So I really like to give shout outs to them when I can. And our coaching team, like Chris, how many's on our coaching team we just hired? What are we up to now?
6?
Yeah, 6. So Chris is the head of our coaching team, and we have, you know, our incredible coaches underneath. And when we do these our coaches meetings every week, they're like, Chris, we had another client that had a unicorn poop. Oh, yeah, my client said they had a unicorn poop. So it's so funny that this verbiage has just like infiltrated our whole company and all of our client base. All because
and this
Chris
is why I give people, when they tell me they've had a unicorn poop, I supply them with a beautiful little image.
See, here's the funny part is I have a matcha cult and Chris has a unicorn poop cult.
No, it's not a cult. It's not. The matcha, I'll give you the cult. The unicorn poop is, we're just happy poopers.
We're just happy poopers. You're happy poopers. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So now that we've thoroughly talked about what healthy poops look like, the different meanings, how it contributes to acne, now let's talk about some practical strategies that we can be utilizing to help improve our bowel movements. Because for us in the Clear Skin Solution, when we're working with our acne clients, digestion and poop is actually one of the very first things we work on for clients alongside blood sugar and cortisol. Because you can't be moving on to any other therapeutic work for your health and your skin if you're not properly pooping. We can't be going and doing this, big therapeutic detoxification of your body if you're not getting the stool out, because the toxins have nowhere to go. You're going to feel absolutely horrendous. We can't be balancing hormones if you're not pooping, because how are we getting that excess estrogen out? How are we balancing that body and reducing inflammation? So when we look at this, all roads really do lead back to our bowel movements. So this is why we heavily look at these before we move on. So Chris, let's kind of go through the gamut of what are the first things we can start doing to improve our bowel movements? But then if after we've done all of these things, what should we consider if we're still struggling with our bowel movements then? So let's start with some of the simple things, right?
So, we're going to talk about fiber. Absolutely. You have to increase that fiber. 30 to 40, it just says just general, 35 to 45, like something in there. And I'm not asking you to go and count your macros. I don't need you going, but you have an opportunity to easily isolate it. Fruits and vegetables
are fiber, like raspberries, fiber, pears, fiber. Your fiber doesn't just have to come from grains, which I think is a really big misconception. So, in that download, we're going to have some high fiber foods. You can also Google list of high fiber fruits and vegetables, making sure you're including these alongside those nuts, those seeds, the quinoas, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's an easy checklist. Every single snack you have, go with a fruit. Every single meal, go with a vegetable. You are going to get your servings in just by doing that simple implementation.
And I think if you want to get a rough idea, like you could download one of those like fitness tracker app, like MyFitnessPal or whatever, and just for a day or two, pop in what you're eating. Don't worry about looking at the calories and all those. I just want you to look at how much fiber you're getting in the day, so that way you can get a gauge on it. It's like, oh, okay, I'm getting about 19 grams of fiber each day. I know I just need to increase it by X. So it'll just give you a nice baseline to work off of.
Yeah. We know our next one, broken record, hydration.
Hydration.
So some of your foods, we can get up to 4 cups of water through food sources when we add in those fibers.
Like celery. Celery is a great water source. And
cucumbers, watermelon,
melons. Lots of water can come from there. And when you're looking at the ideal hydration, like your baseline would be half of your body weight in ounces. So let's say you're 150 pounds, you want to be getting baseline 75 ounces of clean filtered water every single day. Of course, this is going to move around if you're more active in the time of year and all of those things. But at a baseline, we want to be getting that amount for your weight.
Well, since you're looking at your poop, why don't you look at your urine? Look in the toilet bowl. If it's a very light yellow, keep going, right? Your water's good. If it's dark yellow, like, when you come and you join the morning ritual, no good. And if it's clear where you can't even determine if you've actually gone, you're thinking, well, it feels like I've gone, I don't know. And you have 2 of those in a row, pull off the water. Simple, right? We want you looking in the toilet bowl. So might as well look at everything.
So we talked about the fiber, we talked about the water. We also, Chris already mentioned chewing. So chewing your food to a paste-like consistency.
Chew for the poo. This is legit right here.
Tagline.
Chew for the poo. Unicorn poop and chew for the poo. Don't steal those. These are mine. You talked about lower stress, and I cannot emphasize this enough. And everyone says, like, this is like me telling you to relax. It's going to go over really well, isn't it?
Everyone's like, I know we have to reduce stress. I know.
If you can't reduce your stress, then identify the triggers and start looking at isolating each one very slow over a course. Find an objection, 1 a month. If your spouse is the annoyance, which can happen, there's something that's annoying about the spouse. It's not the spouse themselves usually. Just so you see what I'm saying, how to delineate that. It's a skill, because we can get so heightened all the time. We're living in a stress, high empowered society, a want society that we always call it that prime Amazon society. So when we lower the stress, what about even going and just, if you're going to watch TV because that's your jam, go put your legs up on the wall. Or, get out a little bit of those flexibility bands and just give a good stretch. There's lots we can do. We can add that exercise in lowering, right? We can chew the food, which lowers stress. We can drink water, which lowers stress, because it really does. Eat for your body, lowers stress. And oh my gosh, go have a unicorn poop. It lowers stress.
It lowers stress. We already talked about movement. So getting some exercise in your day. That could be walking, specific yoga twists to really help to move the intestinal tract. We can also be looking at, a squatty potty, just literally raising your feet up when you have a bowel movement. Because if you can go on to Google or YouTube and look at like how your intestinal tract changes when you have your feet raised, and allows for an easier exit through the colon for your bowels to come out easier. So whether you get a squatty potty, a step stool, something to just raise your feet up can be really great.
Your toilet though, Katie, there's one, your toilet size. So when we got our new house, the owner of the house, like the owner of the actual company that we purchased the house from, the developer, whatever, I'm looking for a word here. It's not going to happen. I don't know. What is he? 6'2"? So his standard toilets are 19 inches.
You got big boys.
Listen, I'm dangling at that point.
Chris is like 4'5", so
5'2". But however, I am asking for a rescue team. Please help me get off this toilet. I have now climbed to the roof of my house. This is what it feels like.
You don't need the Paw Patrol. You need the Poop Patrol to come save you.
So that's something we want to look at, is what size is your toilet? So that squatty potty squatty, whatever it is, that can help just realign, like you were saying. Also, that size of your toilet, you're not going to run out and buy a different toilet. But when you're buying a new toilet, look at your size, look at your height, these types of things, elongated, short, whatever,
Another two things that we recommend quite often for clients in the Clear Skin Solution are castor oil packs and ileocecal valve massages. So yeah, again, these are linked in the guide. So castor oil packs, you can be putting castor oil on that over your intestinal tract. And then you there's different kits you can get where you're putting like a piece of cloth over top of it, and you can be wearing it for at least an hour or overnight. And these are so incredible. Like, it's shocking how well these work to really help to improve the your bowel motility. And also when we're looking at the ileocecal valve massage, you can go in YouTube this ileocecal valve massage, where you get right in there and you start massaging into your intestinal tract to help ease the poop. And it's so incredible. I remember doing this for my first time ever forever ago. And I was shocked at how much gas that was trapped in there. You could physically feel the gas like move through your intestinal tract. And you wouldn't be surprised if you had you passed gas or bowel movement shortly after.
Yeah, the power. There's actually a cross section. So I like to talk about quadrants, right? Because a lot of people don't know their stomach is not their belly button, right? It's like, it hurts in my tummy. Identify your tummy.
We ask that all the time. Where? Because people don't realize your stomach is more up under your rib cage, right? It kind of hangs out under your rib cage, where the lower part of your abdominal is all your intestinal tract.
Yeah, your stomach is exactly where your rib cage splits. Bam, push on that. You're gonna meet your stomach, right? So that ileocecal valve, that junction where the large and the small intestine kind of hang out. I don't know why we were made where it looks like its own little labyrinth. But poop loves to get stuck in there. Bacteria, yeast, fungus, molds, whatever. They love to eat. That's their feast area. So get in there with a good massage. You might feel like it's a crunchy bag of chips.
Yep.
Right? So yeah, I love it.
So we talked about some lifestyle factors as well. So we could also talk about supplements. So obviously probiotics are going to be really great to be adding in for your bowel movements. And Chris, before we jump into that, what should we say to the people where they're like, oh, probiotics give me constipation, or probiotics give me raging diarrhea?
You're using the wrong probiotic. You might have too many culinary forming units, so CFUs. There might be strains in there that are becoming a little more antagonistic. Your gut health maybe sort of kind of could be, you like that disclaimer? It could be telling you, you know what? I'm not as stellar as you think I am. I need some TLC.
We actually have an entire episode on probiotics from season 1. That's not on YouTube because we just started season 2. So go back to Spotify or Apple. We have a whole episode on probiotics because it's such a big topic where there are hundreds of different strains of probiotics for different purposes. And if you start taking just a probiotic off the shelf, but it has strains in there for diarrhea and you're struggling with constipation, it's just going to make things worse. So this is where, really getting familiar with some of the key strains. So Chris, when we're looking at constipation, some of those strains that we want to be looking out for, let's look out for the Bifidobacterium lactis. Let's look out for the Lactobacillus rhodori. And we know that our lovely friend, Dr. William Davis of Super Gut and Wheat Belly, he talked about Lactobacillus rhodori in our Gut Access episode heavily. Really, really great one. Or, be looking at those Bifidobacterium.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, watch out for the fructooligosaccharides, the FOSs in them. They're put in there as a prebiotic, but that can cause bloating and unfavorable digestive issues, right?
Diarrhea. We should be looking at things with Saccharomyces boulardii. This is something that you'll see in a lot of those probiotic blends that say like traveler's diarrhea. You'll see Saccharomyces boulardii. This can be really, really helpful.
Well, and the caveat is if you're struggling with constipation, the Saccharomyces boulardii, that could perpetuate it.
Exactly.
So it still doesn't mean that you have too much or not enough. The fact is the cultures as a whole can't support it right now. So watch that.
But some of these strains will be great for both, like the Lactobacillus rhodori. This can also be great for diarrhea. Maybe looking at the Lactobacillus, I can never say this one, rhamnosus.
Rhamnosus?
Yes, thank you. There we go. Also a really good one for diarrhea. So this is where getting familiar with the strains on the box can be helpful.
And again, like who says you have to be at 100 billion to get quality help?
Start at 5, start at 10. Like, you don't have to go big or go home. And if you are someone that is reacting to probiotics, this could be a sign that you need to start with a smaller amount of those colony forming units, the CFUs.
Magnesium citrate.
That's probably one of the most popular ones, right? For constipation, magnesium citrate.
These are Band-Aids, everybody, but if we can use something to stimulate, aloe.
Symptom relief.
Yeah, aloe. If you don't have a latex allergy, fresh aloe, blend it up, put it in some smoothies, drink it on its own. Tastes like battery acid. Enjoy. There's another one by Renew Life called Cleanse More. That can be helpful as well. Again, Band-Aids. Well, we can use things like flax seeds or chia seeds as long as we don't have like true diagnoses of an itis, where we can't have the seeds and stuff like that. It doesn't all have to be supplements, right? We have to watch the supplements because we shouldn't be reliant on them.
Supplements are exactly that. They're a supplement to what you're doing. And with our clients, there's always an end date. We're never staying on these supplements for an extended period of time. Yeah. Even probiotics, you should be switching up every 1 to 3 months. So you're getting that variety and that rotation. We want to be making sure that we're using them as a tool in the toolbox and not the only one. But things even like digestive enzymes can be really great for helping to break your food down.
Okay, you want a secret? I'll give.
You guys,
Chris
is giving a secret today. She's not very giving with these. So get your notepad ready.
Well, it's a pro tip.
Get your notepad ready.
Baking soda.
Oh, here she goes. I know where she's going.
Baking soda. So whether you have heartburn, instead of running to the doctor and getting thrown on a proton pump inhibitor or PPI because we had all the ugly in our stomach. The other thing with regards to this is it can help alter the pH balance. It's very limited. You are not doing this by yourself. You can take a little bit if you have heartburn, indigestion, these types of things instead of, the tongues. And I'm not saying come off your PPI. This is not going to be your magic tool. However, what happens is it has been researched to help restabilize the pH balance in your body. So acidic versus alkalinity. And as long as you don't do it around food, it has been known to help stimulate bowel movements.
There you go. Little pro tip from Chris today.
Also a little indicator to help you with understanding if you have enough hydrochloric acid, but that's a little search you can do on your own.
She's not giving it all away today, everybody.
Listen, I paid a lot of money for all that knowledge. No, I'm just kidding. I just want you to be able to do it properly. That's all.
Exactly. Yeah. There are things where it's best to be doing under the guidance of a practitioner. And of course you can be, you can even be diluting some peppermint essential oil in your favorite carrier oil, whether it's avocado, coconut, whatever it may be, and applying that around your stomach, intestinal area, like your whole abdominal tract, your whole abdominal, because this is really going to be helping with that bowel inflammation. It's going to be helping to improve your bowel motility.
Okay, wait. I'm going to give another pro tip because
she is feeling giving today.
I swear by this. This is a unicorn poop in the making.
Here we go.
My kids went on a graduation trip. This is how you know it is, because when the kids invest into it, they know you're not quackers, right? And doTERRA has a most amazing. It's called Zengest or Digest Ease, depending on when you're
Zengest or Digest Zen. It's just backwards.
Oh, they changed it?
No,
okay,
it's always been that.
Oh, okay, whatever. I just get excited.
It's fine.
I just know the
it's
Canadian
great.
version. It's like Zengest, because we're not allowed to say anything
blend.
digest, right, on our stuff.
I love that blend. It's great.
That one there, and I boast about this a lot. She made herself a roller and took it with her.
That's how you know something works, is when a kid
does it. That's a big deal. You can put it right from your stomach all the way down into that belly button and just kind of push it around. And I am telling you,
works so well.
She's a whole lot of sexy. She's a whole lot of sexy.
Exactly.
She's got her red pumps on, let me tell you.
We gave them a lot of info. We're already at an hour. Like we said, we could talk about this for probably another 2, but we will bid you adieu after an hour talking about poop. But don't forget to go to our show notes, download the handout that we put together for everybody, so that way you have it and you can reference back to it. All right, everyone, enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you next week for another episode of the Clear Skin Chronicles.
Thanks for hanging out with us this week on the Clear Skin Chronicles. We'll see you next Wednesday with a brand new episode. Remember to subscribe to the show and drop us a review. Sending glowing vibes your way, Katie and Chris.